Today, the interstate relations between Belgium and the Netherlands can be seen as one of the friendliest international relationships in existence. But this has not always been the case, and in the past, there has been even a short war between these two countries. In 1815, in the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars, from the territories that had belonged to the former Dutch Republic, Austrian Netherlands, and Prince Bishopric of Liège, was created the United Kingdom of the Netherlands in order to form a strong buffer state between France and the German Confederation. After 15 years of perceived misrule and growing opposition, the southern provinces of the kingdom rebelled in August 1830, beginning the Belgian Revolution. Dutch forces were expelled from most of the territory modern-day Belgium and Dutch Limburg by November 1830, when a ceasefire was agreed. During the revolution, there were relatively few armed confrontations between Belgian rebels and the Dutch army itself, and the Dutch king, William I, believed that the Belgians could be encouraged to abandon their insurrection through negotiation. However, after the Belgians asked Leopold of Saxe-Coburg to be their king, the Dutch began preparing for an invasion. The Dutch prepared a 50,000-man force at the border with Belgium. Some Dutch forces were also still occupying the citadels of Antwerp and Maastricht in Belgium. The Belgian army opposing them were numbering just 24,000 men, including both regular soldiers and the poorly trained and equipped militia units of the Garde Civique. Leopold of Saxe-Coburg arrived in Brussels in early July 1831 and on the 21st of July swore allegiance to the Constitution, becoming the country's first monarch. 21st of July is generally used to mark the end of the revolution and the start of the Kingdom of Belgium, and is celebrated each year as Belgian National Day. The Dutch invasion of Belgium began only a few days later, on the morning of the 2nd of August, when troops under the command of William, Prince of Orange, crossed the border near Poppel. At first, the Belgians tried to slow their advance by blocking roads with fallen trees. The first skirmishes took place around Ravels, where the Belgian army was rapidly driven into the surrounding forests by the Dutch. The Belgians later retreated to Turnhout, allowing the Dutch to set up camp. The sound of the Dutch artillery alarmed the population of Turnhout, who fled towards Antwerp. Turnhout was occupied on the 3rd of August and Antwerp on the 4th. The morale of the Belgian army continues to decline as the Dutch continue to advance. On the 5th of August, the Dutch entered the city of Diest, 60 kilometers east of Brussels. The Dutch tried to encircle the Belgian army of the Meuse near Hasselt. On the 8th of August, the Belgians, outnumbered and with little to no artillery, were heavily defeated. The Dutch took about 400 prisoners, while the remaining Belgian soldiers fled to Liège. Fearing the total disintegration of the army, Leopold called for international support in the same day. The French decided to help the Belgians, and the next day sent an army under Marshal Etienne Gérard. Meanwhile, the Dutch army led by Prince William reached Leuven, only 25 kilometers east of Brussels. On the 12th of August, a battle broke out in which the Belgians were pushed over the Dyle River and the Dutch occupied the city. Then, William learned that the French army of 70,000 men under Marshal Gérard had crossed the border to aid the Belgians. In order to avoid a war with France, Prince William concluded a truce with the Belgians. Fighting ended on the 13th of August at 1630. In the same day, Dutch princes William and Frederick walked through the city of Leuven and drank a beer in a local inn. The next day, the Dutch army began withdrawal from Belgium, which was completed on the 20th of August. However, the King of the Netherlands refused to abandon the citadel of Antwerp. From the citadel, the Dutch army bombarded the city of Antwerp, setting fire to hundreds of homes. The French army came back to Belgium and besieged the citadel between the 15th of November and the 23rd of December 1832, returning it after the conquest to the Belgians. The Dutch finally recognized Belgium as an independent country by signing, together with other European powers, the Treaty of London on the 19th of April 1839.